It is 2:30. We just got set up back here in the big timber. We kind of eased our way back in here, and we spotted probably about a dozen deer back here. And our target buck, the big 6, we call him. He's the oldest deer on the farm. We saw him bumping some does back here. A couple of them saw us, but I don't think we boogered anything up too bad. So, yeah, we're gonna settle in here and see what the night brings us. Wow, it was a great evening. We were just covered in deer here the last hour and a half or so. We may just end up leaving our stuff here tonight and taking a chance on this spot. You know, we're right in the swing of the rut, so you know, I think we're gonna try to get a little bit more aggressive.
REALTREE's Midwest Whitetail is brought to you by Cuddyback, Drake Non-Typical, Easton Arrows, Frigid Forage, Fuse, Grizzly Coolers, Hoyt, Ozonics, Redneck Blinds, Wasp Archery, and REALTREE.
It's starting to break daylight here. We had a really great day of hunting yesterday. Matt put down the split G3 buck in the morning. We sat here last night. We came here about midday, and we were just covered up in deer. There may be 20 deer last night. The acorns are still falling. We're in an area we call the Big Timber. We've got the river in behind us, and this is kind of a hard oak river bottom, so it's really flat, not a lot of terrain features. But I mean, the deer were obviously back in here, so we decided to just leave our stand set up and come back in here this morning. We've sat in this area in the mornings before and had a lot of movement, so we're hoping that the same is true today. We just saw the big 6 came chasing a doe through here. They're still down over here. That's a deer we've put on the hit list this year. This is kind of his core area, so hopefully they'll make it back through here. Yeah, we saw him last night as we came in here. As we walked in, we saw a bunch of them in this area, and he was with them. And so this is kind of his core area, so hopefully he's gonna meander back through. Oh my gosh. Oh man, he is a big Brutus. 2 deer on the hit list, 2 deer down in 2 days, man. That was awesome.
I was hoping you had a shot.
So they came through here right away in the morning, and he was hot on their trail. And I didn't have a shot opportunity, couldn't. They were just running all over the place, and they circled back in behind us. And then we see them emerge, and they were kind of downwind, and there's this ditch behind us. She got a little nervous, she got a little bit of our wind that pushed her out in front of us, and then he just followed her. He bedded down a few times, and holy cow, that wore me out. I had a shot opportunity, but she was pegged on me, and I wasn't in any position to draw. And so as she kind of walked out in front of us, I positioned my feet a little bit better, and finally he gave me a shot opportunity here about 20 yards, and he only ran 40 yards. He's over there expiring, so that is awesome. That is a ginormous bodied deer. He's not much for a rack, but definitely the oldest and biggest deer we've had on the farm, and one that we were targeting. So that is it's a great story for us. Well, we are going to go ahead and pull down. It's been about a half hour since I shot that deer. We know where he's laying, so we're no sense in waiting around. So we're going to go put our hands on this big brute. Still intact.
So here he is. This is a big 6. This was one of 3 deer that we were after this year. This big 6, he kind of lived on the north end of the farm and kind of dominated this area. Just a really old, big-bodied deer. Obviously not much for a rack, but certainly a mature trophy in our book. We got back into this area yesterday midday after we took care of Matt's deer, and there was just a lot of activity back here. We were covered in deer from the moment we sat up. In fact, we saw him walking in, bumping some does around, and we went ahead and just left our stand set up last night. The wind was basically the same as it was last night, blows back to a river here, and this morning he came through chasing a doe, and it just happened really fast, kind of right away at first light, and didn't present a shot opportunity, but they ended up circling back around to us. The doe was working it and almost got downwind. She caught a little bit of our wind, and he was just following her. He bedded down a couple times, just following her, and eventually they made it out in front. And really just, I mean, it took them probably 15-20 minutes by the time, you know, they were within 40 yards for a while, and he was just, you know, playing real slow, and eventually they made it out in front of us and presented a great opportunity. So more than happy with this deer. This is an exciting hunt this year for Matt and I, targeting deer like we did these 2 mature deer that we harvested this year. And yeah, so that's one of the first times where we've kind of laid out a plan from the beginning, and one of the keys for us this year was a cutting link system, and just using that to kind of pinpoint where these deer were moving, and it helped us strategize locations that we'd hunt them, and that was very instrumental. So thanks for following along with our story this year, and watching us on Midwest Whitetail Outreach Outdoors.
All right, so today it's Sunday, November 2nd. Is that right? Okay. Jaylen and I are headed back to I don't know, I showed you guys some footage the other day of a giant tree that we've always wanted to sit under, so we're just gonna go try it today. We got a south wind, so we're just gonna go sit back here. We've been seeing a lot of deer back here on the backside of this corn, and the neighbors are shelling their corn today, so we're just gonna come back here and see what we see. It should be good conditions, even though it's a little bit warm. With those combines running, hopefully the deer will be stirring.
So we moved out here to our redneck because in the woods we couldn't really see anything and the wind was starting to swirl. So we moved out here and hopefully we can see something out here.
Take your time. Take your time. Back, 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 back.
Yes!
Nice shot! Let's see what you got. Have we done this before?
Yep.
Out of this exact same blind? That's what I thought. Deja vu. We have had a crazy weekend, to say the least, right? We started out Saturday morning. Had a buck come up. Well, just something happened. We messed that one up. And last night we had another great hunt. And a walnut tree got in the way, but tonight nothing got in the way, did it? I tell you what, this is just the ultimate blessing, really, to be able to get your kids out here and hunt with them. You just couldn't ask for much more than this. You know, God's been gracious to us and blessed us with 3 wonderful kids, and Jaylen's our oldest, and Hannah and I couldn't be any prouder of her. So she got her first buck out of this very blind last year, and then today this is her second deer and second buck, and it's just incredible. It's just really, really fun, really awesome, and I'm happy for you. But Outreach Outdoors, you know, it's try to be focused more on family and, you know, telling the story of God through the lens of a camera. And I guess part of the story here, you know, is God has entrusted me and my wife with 3 children, and you know, getting them outdoors and things like that it's fun, and yeah, it's really a great thing to do, but it's not the most important thing to do. The most important thing I can do for them is share the love of Christ with them, and taking them outdoors is a great opportunity to do that. So, you know, while Jaylen and I hunt, sometimes we talk about the Lord, sometimes we joke around, sometimes I just sitting there, and earlier tonight she was reciting the Lord's Prayer, and I'm like, when's the last time I did that? So sometimes she encourages me. But anyway, I just couldn't be prouder of her, and if you guys ever have any questions about Christ or anything like that, us guys at Outreach Outdoors would love to talk to you. And I can't encourage you any more than just to say, take your kids hunting and fishing and share the love of Christ with them. It's the most important thing you could ever do for them. Well, good morning. Welcome back to Outreach Outdoors. It is November 16th, and it is the opening day of the firearms portion of the Missouri deer season. So it's an exciting time around here. Actually, I've had more buck activity this morning than I've had all year, basically. I had a buck I passed bow hunting the other day. He worked up here behind me. I put out a little extra scent. Man, he was really scent checking and carrying on. Then he got directly downwind, and I guess he smelled just enough of me in there. He come over here back and snorted a little bit. Well, while he was snorting, 9-point that we just started getting on camera heard it. He decided to come investigate, and that 9-pointer, he's a nice deer. I wish I'd had my recurve. He's not something that, when I'm rifle hunting, I'm just interested in shooting older, mature deer. So I'm gonna settle back in here. I always like hunting from the ground with my rifle. I just enjoy it. I don't ever get to do that with my bow very much. So last year I killed Samson from the ground, and the more I think about it, I've killed the majority of my deer from the ground with my rifle, but hunting from the tree stand is probably better. I just
enjoy sitting on the ground sometimes, so probably try a rat on here in a little bit since those 2 bucks are up on their feet. And he came into that other buck snorting. That's unbelievable. I guess he maybe thought it was a doe. And then as they stood there, that smaller buck, they were just standing there together. He kept snorting, and the other buck was looking at him like he was crazy. So, pretty cool. You ain't gonna see that sitting on the couch at home. So, anyway, I'll check back in with you after a while. This ditch is pretty hot this morning. It's the 3rd buck we've seen cruising this ditch. This is where Jaylen and I sat, and she missed a buck during youth season. Like right up here, 30 yards in front of me by this black stumps where he was standing. So, it's a good spot. Historically, it's always been a good spot. We just don't have any bucks on camera. I know that doesn't mean there's not one here. So that's why I'm sitting here, because I feel like if we're going to run into something that we're not expecting, it's going to be here. Anyway, we'll sit here a while longer, see what happens. I'm sitting on the ground back here watching this same ditch I was watching this morning. So, we saw several deer this morning, 6 deer, 3 bucks, 3 does. The cameras are pretty active this morning, so I'm hoping this will be one of those days where, you know, there's enough people around stirring things up. We might have movement all day, so anyway, hopefully we'll catch some on his feet before long. This is him. This is the best buck I've had on camera this year. I think he's a 4-year-old. Just a good solid 10. Busted his brow tine. But I couldn't be happier with him. We've hunted pretty hard the last couple weeks. I've got to preach tomorrow and I'm out of vacation. So he's the perfect buck for me to take. So I'm pretty happy with it. Oh man, I'll tell you what. You put a lot of work into hunting these things and watching them. And it's just awesome when you finally get to put your hands on a buck. And killed a couple does with the recurve, and I was ready to take the rifle out. I know some of the diehard bow hunters may not agree with me, but I'm usually ready for rifle season by the time it gets here. I couldn't be happier than to wrap my hands around this buck.